Hey guys, Gino back from Market Movers. So today we're going to talk about a new grant that the Government of Ireland are offering for first-time buyers, and also we're going to just talk about a new planning permission law that they're talking about bringing into place as well. None of these things have been approved yet, but they're expected to be approved at the start of next month, which is only just next week. So I'm going to just talk about what the grants are, what the plans are. Do I think they're good? Do I think they're bad? Do I think they're helpful? Do I think they could have done more? And we'll get straight into all that. So guys, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. We're looking to get to that 450, and then very soon we'll be at the 500 subscriber mark, which would be a huge milestone for us in under a year. So that would be absolutely amazing. And also just a quick shout out to our two sponsors. So our first sponsor, Caffe Pompeii Ireland. So Caffe Pompeii Ireland have given us a discount code MOVERS15 for 15% off your order, and they also do free shipping on orders over €60 as well. And also 35mm Vintage, our favorite vintage store. You can check them out down below. We'll have all the links to their websites in our description, and also check out our podcast we did recently with Keane Charlton, the owner of 35mm Vintage as well. So guys, let's get straight into the video. So guys, the first part we're going to talk about is pubs. So pubs are obviously a massive, they're in abundance in Ireland, and if you go into countryside towns or country villages or anything like that, you will see pubs, and you will see closed down pubs, vacant pubs, and derelict pubs. And what this new property law that they're trying to bring in, or that they're suggesting that they're going to bring in, is that there's going to be no planning permission needed to change a derelict or a vacant pub into a home. So this could be a pretty big deal, because there is a lot of them, and even if you go into Cork City on Barrack Street, there is an old pub there that has been turned into a house, and they can make quite big houses, because generally pubs will have multiple floors, because they would have rooms, keg rooms and different things like that, or just storage rooms, and the whole place can be turned now without planning permission, or will be able to be turned without planning permission into a home. Now there's a couple of things obviously that come with this. Obviously there's going to be a lot of renovation costs. Pubs are not laid out like homes per se, so you'll have obviously there'll probably be new floors going in, new walls. And one thing I'm interested in, and I've been trying to find it this morning and I haven't been able to find it, I know on a new build in Ireland now, you have to build up to an A2 standard, which is quite a high standard. Most homes in Ireland, especially older homes, are D's. Some of them are E's, but D's, C, B, and then most all newer homes are A2, A1s. So to look at that could be quite expensive. And the reason I think that they're going to make sure that you're building it is I don't see why they wouldn't. I don't see why they'd allow, you're basically going to be redoing an entire pub into a home, why they would allow you not do it to an A2 standard. So that could work out quite expensive, along with all the rest of it. Buying the property, fair enough, if you're in a small country town, the property might be quite cheap, especially if it's depends on how bad it is, but the worse the property is, the cheaper it is, the more expensive it's going to be to renovate. So that's one thing. And then the second thing they're talking about is they're going to bring in a grant for derelict properties from up to 20 to 30,000 euro for renovation for first time buyers. Now, something I was trying to figure out is what defines a derelict property in Ireland. So I know that property laws are extremely strict in Ireland, and a derelict property generally would be in ruins. It would be a property full of debris and rubbish. Now the pubs, it is vacant or derelict, but the grant, 20 to 30,000 euro grant, is only for derelict. So it's interesting, and I'm waiting to hear more. I'll probably do another video if this goes ahead next month, and they'll give us more details on it. I do have an article here in front of me that I'm just going to follow through. So for example, Geo Directory, which is a buildings report company, published this week that they found more than 100,000 vacant derelict homes across the country. Now 100,000 homes is a lot of homes. And the way I look at that is there is a massive housing crisis in Ireland. There is a huge housing crisis in Ireland, but there's also a bit of a money crisis in Ireland. And the fact that these things are very, very expensive, especially right now. Building is expensive, lumber is expensive, paying people to work is expensive, trying to even get staff to do work is expensive at the moment. So, albeit there's 100,000 homes, who can who can actually afford to redo these homes? And if you can't do the work yourself, they can be very, very expensive jobs. And not everyone out there, years ago, a lot of people had trades. Now, still, lots of people with trades, but a lot more people don't. So, like, you're going to need a plumber, you're going to need an electrician, you're going to need carpenters, you're going to need all these things that are quite expensive. So 20 to 30,000 euro will not go a long way, in my opinion. And do I think that the government could offer more? Yes, I do think they could. I know they won't, and there's no point in dwelling on what ifs, but I do think they could offer more, and I think it's not enough for most people, because what they were saying on their article, they were saying, a lot of people see homes that are 50,000 euro out of their budget, and if they just had that 50,000, but they're not even offering the 50,000, they're offering 20 to 30, or they're suggesting that that's what they'll offer. So as I move through this article, Mr. O'Brien has said the grant between 20 to 30,000 will be announced shortly to encourage first-time buyers to purchase derelict properties. Now, it's just a lot of work. And the way I'd look at it, so for example, a lot of you know, especially if you subscribe to this channel already, that I recently bought a property last September. I bought an apartment, but there was little to no work to be done. Now, we're a full-time worker. Most people are full-time workers, especially if they're buying properties. They do not have the time to be going down and working on building a house or doing up a derelict house. It's a lot of work. Now, I know these things need to be done, but I think the fact that they've made this for first-time buyers is really, really making this market small. For example, I'd look at my parents for an example. Like my dad's in his 60s, and fair enough, he's not a builder, but I think he could actually find a bit of fun in doing up a derelict house, and he could find the time in doing up a derelict house. He owns his own business, he has staff working for him, and he'd be able to work away at it slowly and pick away at it slowly, and he'd be in no rush. But a first-time buyer generally is in a rush, whether it be that they actually are in a rush or whether they just want to rush it because they want to get into their new home because it's exciting. And the work they'll have to go in is massive rather than just buying an already made house. And again, for 20 to 30,000 euro, I don't think it's enough incentive to be living in an old house, probably in a town that not a lot of people live in. The work that would have to be done, you'll have to do all the designing, all these kind of things. It would work out very, very expensive. I know I'm being negative, and I don't mean to sound so negative, and I'm doing this off the cuff because I wanted to give my honest opinion. I didn't want to give I didn't want to write out what I thought was going to be a good thing to what I thought was going to be a good way to portray what they're doing, because I want to give my honest opinion, because we like to be honest on this channel. So as I move through this, they just had a short article by a short interview with a lady, Katrina Scully is one of the thousands of first-time buyers across the country, and she just talked about how it was soul destroying for her to try find a property in Ireland that she could afford. She was about 50,000 euro. All the properties were about 50,000 euro over her budget, and she just could not afford it. After 2 years, she eventually got on the property ladder and got a sale agreed house in Limerick, but the process has not been easy. Now, Limerick isn't one of the cheapest areas to buy a house, but it's definitely not one of the dearest areas to buy a house in Ireland. So the maximum she was able to get for her mortgage was 120,000 euros, and so that means she was 30, 60. She was probably on between 30 and 40,000 euros a year, which is pretty average, and it's a nice wage. And she said, I got lucky in the end, but it wasn't in my price range. I had to get family help. So she couldn't even get the help that she needed from the government or from grants or even from her own full-time working job. And I'm sure she works very hard at it and saves a lot of money, especially over that few years, that she still had to get family help in order to buy a home in Ireland. And this is the issue in Ireland at the moment. We're trying to buy properties, and then when they come at you with these grants that are suggesting to buy these old rundown pubs and houses in these small towns, and they're offering you it's not insignificant. I don't want to sound ungrateful that 20 to 30,000 euros is an insignificant amount of money, because it isn't, but it just doesn't go a long way in what they're trying to get you to do. So we are working on 4 pubs at the moment in 4 counties, and they're going to bring back 18 properties. So, okay. So this is just a quote. Everyone knows when you go for planning for a new development, if we want to bring those 18 apartments in one location in Dublin, it will take us 2 years to do that between planning, procurement, tendering, and the whole lot. Now, if we already have the unit and avoid the planning, then it is really about the procurement process and getting the builder on site and getting the building brought up to scratch. So Sinn Féin's housing spokesperson, O'Brien said these measures do not go far enough. It's another example about tinkering around the edges, because even if the premises don't have to apply for a change of use, they will still have to apply for a variety of other planning permission, particularly to meet standards in terms of residential use for safety, etc. Now that's kind of what I was talking about. This is about the ratings, the BER ratings I was talking about. So what I think he means there is that, okay, yeah, you don't have to get planning permission to change your pub into a house or to change the pub you're buying into a house, but you still have to get permission to do, you're still changing a property from a business into a residential, and you still need to bring it up to the standard of residential living in Ireland now, which is expensive, which I think Mr. Owen O'Brien there is basically saying what I'm saying, that it's just not enough, that 20 to 30,000 euro grant will not do anything. And the government are constantly doing things like this, especially when it comes to property and grants, that they're just making things, they're not in reach. They're not something you can access easily, firstly, and secondly then, they're not much use. And yeah, I didn't think I was going to come on and whinge today, and I'm sorry that I did, but it's just something that kind of boils my blood, because the Irish people, I just can tell, I can smell it. Young Irish people are going to start leaving again, and it happened a few years ago between the mess they made with what we will not speak about, especially for young people, especially university students, and these are the people that are going to have money. In 5 years, all these people in university that weren't taken care of throughout the C word, and they weren't, they weren't told whether they were going to be in university. They were kept on these online lectures. People not showing up to online lectures. They getting their leaving cert exams graded throughout their average. They were getting their graduations in the post. These are all the people that are going to be pissed off, basically, and they're going to end up leaving this country like they did back in the recession back in 2008, and going to Australia and going to Canada, and they're going to end up buying properties there, and they're going to build up the country, and more these things are just going to diminish what's happening in Ireland. The old towns, like for example in the west of Ireland, are going to again see more young people leaving them, but instead of going to Dublin, Cork, Limerick, Galway, they're going to be going to England, they're going to be going to Australia, they're going to be going to the US, they're going to be going to Canada, they're going to be going to wherever they want, wherever somewhere is actually taking care of their young people. And the sooner that the government realise that these grants are not fooling anyone, this 20 to 30,000 euro, yeah, it's great. Changing a pub to a house with no planning permission, yeah, that's great. You're saving me a bit of time, you're saving me a couple of €1,000, but what about all the other heartache and hassle? Why isn't it easier? Now, I'm only an idiot on YouTube, whinging about housing and the internet, so don't listen to me, do your own research, but let me know what you think down below. Let me know if you think I'm a baffling fool, and if what I've said is wrong and what these guys are doing is right. I'd love to hear it. So guys, sorry I got a little bit carried away with myself, a little bit passionate about everything there. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. If you didn't like it, hit the dislike button. I won't get upset. I understand sometimes when I get a little bit carried away with myself, people don't always agree with me. And yeah, make sure you check out Caffe Pompeii Ireland. It's a new company me, Sam and Nigel have started. We've got coffee beans, pods, and we've got coffee filters. And also, if you're a small business, we're looking to collaborate with small businesses as well. We've got a partnership page set up on our website. We're currently working alongside 35mm Vintage, AF Coaching, and Circles in Clonmel, Circles Casino and Snooker Club. And we're just looking to get collaborations going where we can work our coffee with your product, and we can see, can we get some local support going. So guys, thank you all so much. Really appreciate it. Thanks for watching the video, and we'll see you in the next one.